Why are the European elections important? This is an important topic because if current polls are to be believed, and if they do turn out to be true, we are going to see in the European elections, if we do take part in them, a ton of pro-Brexiters filling those seats. Now, this is a massive issue because one of my biggest problems, in fact, my biggest by far, problem with Nigel Farage is the fact that he doesn't actually do his job. And when I've spoken to some people about this, they seem to not really understand what his job is. As a member of the European Parliament for the United Kingdom, his job is to represent the UK. His job is to look at policies and sit back and think, okay, well, how will this affect the UK? Will it be positive? Will it be negative? If it's negative, how can I amend it so that it's a positive, or at the very least, a neutral? Now, this is not a very easy job sometimes, but this is a job. Nigel Farage is a career politician. This is his job, and it's what we have paid him an incredibly generous wage to do for so many years. Has he been doing it? No. No, he has not. I'm sure we've all seen the footage of one of his rants where he just gets up and starts flinging insults. That's not his job. If you have an issue, then yeah, bring it up. But his job is not to stand there like a buffoon and just start flinging insults. His job is to go through trade deals. It's to go through policies. It is, on some level, to go through legislation that the European Court of Justice is proposing, and sit down with other members of the European Parliament representing the United Kingdom and say, well, folks, how's this actually going to work? So the importance of sending over someone who actually does their job is really incredibly high. I mean, you could argue that a member of the European Parliament is more important than an MP. Now, while the majority of the time members of the European Parliament bring back this legislation and then we vote on it in our own House of Commons and our own Parliament, and then we send it back to Europe with our decision, these people determine trade deals with the rest of the world. Now, it's not that we can't do our own trade deals. Of course we can do our own trade deals. To be perfectly honest, I think we have the best setup in the European Union. We can pretty much pick and choose what the hell we want to do because we made it so. But the importance of this, and this is again why the EU is such a moneymaker for us, is that we've sent over politicians in the past and they've had the foresight, the talent, they've bothered to do the damn work, to actually sit down with these trade deals and go, okay, well, Japan's going to sell this car, Germany's going to sell this car to Japan. France is going to sell this bottle of wine to Canada. All these products made in Spain, Hungary, they're going to Asia. None of this is actually coming from the UK, but we're a bit savvy. We're going to make a profit on it anyway. And we do. Again, this is how the EU is our biggest moneymaker. It's why it's 80% of our country's income. And it's why giving away the fisheries as we did realistically wasn't a big deal. However, and I say that big deal in relative terms because it's less than 1% of this country's income. But however, if you had a politician who, like Nigel Farage, makes a big song and dance and how it's the worst thing ever, well, Nigel Farage had the opportunity to attend the 42, 43 meetings about the fisheries to make sure that it didn't go the way that it went and that there was a more favourable outcome for the UK. But of course, Nigel Farage doesn't want to do his job. And that is the issue. having if the polls if the polls are correct, sending over more politicians like Nigel Farage, who are very, very anti-EU, who are very pro-Brexit, we're sending over more people to sit in these seats who are not going to do their job. You pay your council tax. If the bin men come every week and they don't pick up your rubbish, how pissed off are you going to be? Because you pay your council tax. That's part of what your council tax goes towards. Rubbish collection. And yet the bin men aren't doing it. How pissed off are you going to be if you pay your electric bill but your electric company just turns off your electric? It's, oh, well, you know, we can't get out to you because you know, you live in this area that we don't like. But you're paying the electric bill. Now, these examples may seem a little far-fetched and they may seem a little bit extreme, but that is exactly what we're going through. See, we pay Nigel Farage an incredibly decent wage to do his job that he's not been doing for practically his entire political career. And now, again, if the polls are right, and we do have this wave of Brexiteer politicians becoming MEPs, we are now paying for even more politicians to not do their job. The disconnect and the lack of conversation about politics has led us to this point. The fact that the media doesn't call out lying politicians for lying has led us to this point. The EU elections are incredibly important, and it is incredibly important that you know who you're voting for. I will never vote for Charlie Elfrick because I know that man does not represent me and my interests. Very simple. It's a very simple question. Do you support universal credits? Charlie Elfrick does. That's it. We're done. It's not a conversation. You don't represent me. You don't represent my interests. You don't represent Dover. You will never get my vote because you're anti-UK. I will never vote for Nigel Farage again because I researched him and he doesn't want to do his job. He doesn't represent my interests when he goes to the European Union. Instead, he gets up, flings out a few insults, takes his incredible paycheck, earns an incredible pension, and I say earns very, very loosely, and then uses it as a holiday to do fuck all. We have to become more involved in politics, and I understand that the jargon can be very confusing, but we can't keep electing people who don't do their job and constantly act to screw us over. A member of the European Parliament is not a light job. It does require work. These Brexiteers who are running for these positions are not going to do that work. So why the hell should you be paying for someone who is not going to do the work you're paying them to do? Keep that in mind when you go voting.